Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath.
The podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grunbaum.
And I'm Diana Rojek-Sconard.
Hey, Diane.
Hey, Polina.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Yeah.
We have a special guest today.
I know, a return special guest.
Yep. You're the first. You're not only the first guest, you're also the first return special guest.
Well, okay, hold on really quick because I'm all about accuracy. We did have Steve and Izzy back to back.
Oh,
so I don't know if
that's
that
true.
counts.
That kind of
first
does.
return guest who didn't cheat by doing it back to back.
Yeah.
Yay.
There we go.
Woo! And reintroduce yourself to our wonderful listeners.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Woo!
Woo!
Jen is back.
Yay.
Feel free to go back to the episode Newsies where she was on our show for the first time.
Yep.
And also, I want to thank you for getting us out of mediocre rom-com rut
Yes.
by choosing...
We've been in a mediocre rom-com rut.
Yeah, exactly. So
We weren't happy there. It wasn't a good place.
No. Yeah,
No.
mediocrity. We deserved better, and you gave it to us.
Yay.
I know. I'm excited.
It's very cool.
Visually stunning. The visually stunning Fifth Element.
Oh, yes.
That's like
Definitely.
the full title.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Fifth Element, and for those of you who like to listen to our tiny synopsis that we steal off of the Google search, let's take a look here. In the 23rd century, a New York City cabbie, Corbin Dallas, Bruce Willis, finds the fate of the world in his hands when Lilu, Milla Jovovich, falls into his cab. As the embodiment of the fifth element, name drop, Lilu needs to combine with the other four to keep the approaching great evil from destroying the world. Together with Father Vito Cornelius, Ian Holm, and zany broadcaster Ruby Rod, Chris Tucker, Dallas must race against time and the wicked industrialist Zorg, Gary Oldman, to save humanity. All right, this is from 1997, and the first question that comes to mind is, why'd you pick this movie?
So, when Polina asked me, my first reaction was Enchanted, the movie.
Ooh.
Yes. And then I realized, oh my gosh, if I do another musical, the second time I show up, they're going to kill me. So...
To which I responded, let her suffer. Let her suffer. She made me suffer.
However, Enchanted.
Yes.
Actually, there are some times that I will go on YouTube. How do you know that he loves you?
Okay, well, we just need to have you
Yes.
back on to talk about
Yes.
Enchanted.
So, and then I thought really hard about, okay, what is another movie that like pops into my head? And then it was Fifth Element. So I was like, okay, let's go with Fifth Element, and hopefully that I'll get invited again.
To be honest, you would have gotten invited.
Yes.
I love musicals, so I'm like delighted.
And for the record, wonderful listeners who, if one day you manage to be a guest on our podcast, do not suggest musicals, because in the same way, if you avoid suggesting sequels, because Polina hates
I
sequels,
do hate them with a violent passion.
and I cannot wait to upset you with Grease 2.
Oh, I have actually so many feelings about Grease 2. Grease 2.
We're going to call it Equally Upsetting Month.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Ooh, Revenge Month. Yeah.
I like this a lot.
I know. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
Alrighty, but
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element, yes.
So,
Not a musical.
not a musical.
It has a very wonderful musical.
Yeah.
It has a great score, actually.
Yes,
Oh, not just
it
the
does.
score, but the
But,
performance.
yes.
Oh, that's,
The opera, it was just so wonderful. But it was 1997.
Yep.
I was in high school, and then I went to go see this movie with my high school friend, who I'm still friends with.
Oh.
So her name is Melissa. So both of us went to go see the movie in the movie theater, and at the end of the movie, I was sobbing my eyes out. I could not stop crying for a long time. So to set the scene, when I was in high school, I was a very religious person. And then somehow in my
Which
head,
religion was it?
Christianity.
Okay.
So somehow I have tied that into like my religious background and go, spoilers. Obviously, we're going to talk about the movie. But
Yeah,
at the
yeah, yeah.
very
There's
end
no
of the
avoiding it.
movie, the fifth element
Yes.
has to overcome all the bad things about the bad side of humanity,
Yes.
but then still have to come to the conclusion that it is worth saving.
Yeah.
And then I totally equated that to like, I was like, Jesus. Son of God has to go through that same ordeal, and like, yes,
I'm getting goosebumps
Yeah.
listening to you talk. The hair is standing up and the goosebumps
Yeah.
are there. Go on,
Yes.
go on.
So that's why it stuck in my head for so much, because it had such a weird impact on me. Obviously, I am no longer that religious anymore.
Yeah, it was all that blaspheming you did before we started recording.
I know. Exactly.
She was just getting it out of the way
Yes.
in a safe space that we provide in my home.
So, but now I have, over the years, I bought the movie like multiple times, because I bought it in DVD. I also bought it when it showed up in iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And, now I find it as an incredibly funny, fun movie to watch with a really nice, romance tied to it. And then for a movie that came out in 1997, I've been watching it over the many, many years, and it hasn't aged, which is a very, very hard thing
That
to
actually
do.
really surprised me,
Yeah.
because I too I saw this movie in the theater. I was not in high school. I was living here, and to be honest, like, one of the things that shocked me about it is how little I remembered about it. And like, I remember Milla Jovovich and Bruce Willis, but like, and it was, so watching it was really fun. I think, and the one thing that I kept to read, like when I was reading about it, when I was like looking for it, the director gave this interview where he was super. This is before I watched it. He said it's so frustrating because only a few years later, the special effects would have been so much better. So when I sat down, I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those movies where I'm going to have to, like, the special effects are going to be annoying and like terrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel that way at all. I was really like, it was so beautiful. The costumes are amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually really important, though, because while the special effects themselves, it's noticeable, it's not distracting.
Yes.
And that is very important.
That's actually well done.
Yeah. So, like, I remember watching the Spider-Man movies, the first one and the second one when it was still Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. And we saw it after all of the hype. And then after we had already seen, like, Iron Man and probably maybe even as far as, like, you know, not as far as Guardians of the Galaxy, but we'd already gotten to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So watching that, I'm just like, why does he look like a weird, silly, putty, like, thing as he's flying through the air? But no, it was actually pretty good. If anything, I was seeing the similarities of just like that in Star Wars, you know, especially with the ship design. But the fact that it's bright and colorful,
Yes.
which was a specific, according to the trivia, a very specific decision made by Luc Besson. And the fact that he's just like, I'm so tired of these space movies being in dark corridors. I want things to be bright. I want things to be, you know,
Opulent.
visual, and it works really well.
Yeah, and the clothing is not, is really like striking. And I mean, Jean-Paul Gaultier did the costume design, so like, what do you expect? I think that's actually the
Nothing
reason.
except the best from Jean-Pierre, the name you said.
Between Jean-Paul Gaultier. He's like, he's great, and she wears these these amazing outfits, like
It looks wonderful on her.
On her.
Horrible. on any other
really
human
disturbing.
being.
Like she wears at one point like a piece of tape as a bra.
Yes.
I believe
Just-
they were called thermal bands.
There were called thermal bands, and it was actually that I remember they were called thermal bands because when I saw it, I just became obsessed with this strap bra because it's not like a tube top; it's just like a strap.
Yeah.
But her breasts look amazing. You would think they would look terrible, but they look so good. And I started going, I was like, oh, they're thermal bands. They make sense. Yeah, of course. Anyway, what else do you expect from the genius of Jean-Paul Gaultier is he can make a strap
look amazing.
Look amazing. So whatever.
But really,
It's
on
really
her,
Mia. Yeah, Mila.
She pulled that character up. I mean, but then again, every single character. I mean, I just really love this movie.
Well, like Chris Tucker, I actually didn't even realize it was
my
Chris
gosh.
Tucker. Like,
you don't know. Like, I did not know that his voice can hit those high pitched noises that he hit in the movie. It's like, really? Wow.
And he's not even the opera singer.
no.
But he screams so much in this movie that is just so amazing.
And I will say, like, I mean, just to get back like that, there's there's kind of a critical moment where it takes place with this alien opera singer, and the amazing thing about it is like you really have this sense that you are seeing. Like it's not an afterthought. Like the way he shoots the scene, you really feel like you're at a concert, you know, and you're like, there's that feeling of like anticipation and just like the music is incredible, and but the way it's shot and her presence and everything and how like they keep her kind of covered, and when you see her, it's really you have this shock moment. That like that theatricality, I thought that was a really amazing little touch.
It was, and just something that's just even at the end of the movie as well. So this isn't pure action, not pure romance, not pure sci-fi. It's
Not
just,
pure comedy.
not pure. Oh, so much comedy,
But
too.
so funny.
So funny.
It touches in such the right places.
Yeah,
as well.
you keep reading this thing where people are like, I either like Fifth Element or you don't. It's one of those polarizing films that you either like are passionate about, and I felt kind of embarrassed. I was like, when you mentioned it, I was like, I feel nothing for Fifth Element. Like until I rewatched it, I was like, I feel nothing. Like I remember watching it, I remember enjoying it. I don't. And so I wasn't sure. I was like, oh shit, I'm going to be that person again who like hates it. But I was like, this is so much fun.
If anything, I was trying to remember the first time I had it because when you suggested it, I'm just like scanning through my brain. I'm like, okay, I remember this. I remember this. Remember this. This is going to be a great thing to talk about. But the first time I saw it, it had been so overhyped to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
that
I
I think
walked in
my
there-
problem too. Like I think I was like saw it
Right.
like way late in its theatrical run.
But see, you saw it late in its theatrical run. I think I was in my early 20s when I saw it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that movie had been out for 6 or 7 years. And
I was in my mid 20s.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I was in like my mid 20s when I saw
Oh
it.
wow, yes, we're
Yeah.
around the same age.
Yeah, but imagine all the hype of just like the brilliance of the Fifth Element and all this other stuff. So when I watch it, I'm like, I don't get it.
I think 15-year-old me would have become obsessed. Like I totally get it. And when you were saying the religious angle,
Yeah.
because I found this. I mean, I will say one thing. I found this movie, the logic of this movie. Maybe I'm just really dumb or tired. I tried to like. I recently had surgery, so I've been on some painkillers, and I really tried not to take anything while watching this movie. And I was like,
Not like usual.
not exactly, not like usual. And I was like, why doesn't it makes no sense? And then it was halfway through. I was like, oh, okay, I just give up. Like I can't.
Just enjoy the ride. Like you could just enjoy the ride of the movie.
Well, that's just it, though, is that, so the first time, I didn't get it. I didn't get why it was so amazing. The most recent time, I mean, you said the second time you watched it makes
No,
sense?
but like this is probably. I mean, I probably have watched this like it's been in the background of a party or something. This is the kind of movie that a lot of people like would put on in the background of parties.
Because it's
At people's houses because it's visual
and musical.
and music. You know, like just turn off the sound and like just have it on in the background.
no.
Well, no, I
Or that. Like I think it was definitely one of those movies I've walked in on.
I would want to have the music.
Like the actual soundtrack.
Well, no, like I would want the set. So in a party context, I would say turn the music off because I want my guests to hear each
That's
other.
what- that's
but
kind
then
of the
don't
thing.
put the movie on. That's just.
Well, I think it's just like on somewhere in the living room in the background, like or bars. You go to bars. Bars used to play movies.
That's somebody
in the 90s.
As somebody who can extrapolate so much from a trailer, don't put a movie on so I can't listen to it or watch it. In fact, put on the movie and you all can leave.
I think the assumption is everyone had seen it, and it was just like a nice little.
I hate
background
this
device.
party.
No, exactly. But like
I don't do this. This is.
I'm angry now.
I can tell. Okay, I'm going to call up everyone who did this and tell them that it was a faux pas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can put on a different movie, like like the stuff that they play in Costco when they have the gigantic TV displays.
Oh, yes.
And
I think that's kind of well, because people would play these movies like this in bars, like in the background. And it was just like a thing that if you were sitting alone or you were just kind of you're like, oh, Fifth Element, and then you would have a conversation about Fifth Element.
Most recently, I was in
the look on Jennifer's face is highly skeptical.
Well, I myself was in. I was actually getting a pizza, but I was at the bar, and Mike and Molly was on. So I think I get it.
But I've been watching this movie for years.
Yeah.
And I still love it.
Well, again, on second viewing, again, because the first time it was overhyped for me. The second time, I'm just like, I have a basic understanding of what's happening, so let's just watch it and just try it. And it's just like, this movie is fantastic. And I'm trying to figure out what you were saying, Plin, about how like you just didn't get it. Like, because this time I'm just like, no, totally makes sense. They need these 4 things to come together to fight evil. What's the problem?
No, I get that part, but there was like other like. I was like, but who are they and how do they know about each other? Like I get the basic premise, but like...
Oh, no, are you just talking about like all the double crosses and then...
like all that stuff. Like I get it. Like I get the basic premise though. Even that first scene, I was like, wait.
Which one?
Like the scene in the desert. Luke Perry in the desert. Never see him again.
Yeah, in the Egypt. I mean,
Luke Perry that was my thing that I wrote down. Luke Perry in the desert.
Well, I'm sorry, Plana, but he dead now.
I know.
He dead.
No,
but he's got his like, I was hoping, it was this like great.
Oh, and you know what? If they had done that, might have been really unfortunate because they're just like, this Bruce Willis is the descendant of Dylan McKay from Black Willis.
Yeah. No.
Well, if anything, the connection is Ian Holm's character, Father Vito Cornelius, which, by the way, can we please write that down for the name of our possible future sons?
Vito Cornelius.
Yes. All right.
So awesome.
Take a note. Vito Cornelius.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be dogs for me, but okay. Vito is a great dog's name.
Give me a Vito.
Vito.
Vito. Yeah.
But
Doesn't work.
With 2 E's.
My spelling.
Oh no, it's one eye.
I was about to say my Vito has no E's. What are you talking about?
I know. For some reason I think I saw it somewhere as 2 E's.
You can spell it however you want.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All
right.
So, and actually, the other thing that I want to point out one other thing, which is that there's at one point when she's sort of passed out, so Bruce Willis plays Corbin Dallas, and he tries to kiss Lilo.
Lilo is Disney.
Is Lilo and Stitch, yeah.
Give me a Stitch.
And
with 4 eyes.
Another movie I haven't seen. And she goes, and she just like
there is a gun to his head. So
there was a gun
quickly.
to his head faster than he can imagine, and I thought it was really refreshing because the priest translates like what she said, which is like which is not without my permission.
I think it's never without my permission.
Never without my permission. And he goes, yeah, it makes sense. And then the next scene, he's just sitting in the cab going, why did I kiss her? Why did I kiss her? And I was like, oh, thank God. Like we don't. Other than the bandage, tube top thing, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like we're not going to have to go through a like how this is problematic thing.
Also, another thing I appreciate is that she's always in these scenarios where she is changing. But at the same time, though, every time it happens, it's the men who are just like, throwing their backs to it. But side question to that, because I think we should explain to the listeners, she is described as perfect.
Yes.
She is perfect. She is a perfect being, and she has this ability to just like captivate all the men. But I'm actually trying to remember, is like, were there any women around that were captivated by her?
I don't think so, because she as a character goes through this like progression, because like when they recreate her, which I love that visual effect, by the way.
Oh my God.
How they recreate her. And the theme of her being perfect is from beginning to the end. Like Fifth Element is perfect. And then like her DNA, like nano group is like perfect. Because there's so much detail. And then when she wakes up, she's perfect. It's like, and then the military dude goes like, "Is that glass like not breakable?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Sure." And then she breaks it.
What I love is actually that she. I loved the scene. I found it really. She goes. Basically, he goes. You're gonna have to learn communication skills.
Yes.
And the thing is, they brought her back to life. She was dead. She's in a like glass tube, and she's speaking her native language, and she has to, and they're all watching her, and she has to work on her communication skills. So her response is, and she's scared. Like, this is the other thing I like, is like, her emotions make sense, right? Like, like she's never like, you're never like, she's scared, but the fear is, she's like, she still does what needs to get done, and I thought that was really amazing.
Plus,
but
plus
what
the
she
last
does
thing
is,
she saw was destruction of the people who were bringing her back to Earth.
Yes.
Assuming that was the form that she took while she was there. I wasn't clear about that. You know.
Yeah.
Was it that thing able to reconstruct based off of the genome, or was it reconstructing that which she was before? Or
that's what I couldn't figure it out.
It was always like unclear to me. Because
she looked nothing like the things that were bringing her down.
Yeah, exactly.
Those things were neat looking.
And then also like some of the other aliens were, I don't even know if that's the right term at this point, but like
beings.
They could have a human sort of face, right? So that they didn't freak out the humans.
Yeah.
Right.
But their human face was not perfect. It was kind of disturbing.
Are you talking about the people who were working for Zorg?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got one class of, we'll say aliens for the sake of conversation, who
I like beings. I think beings is good.
One class of beings that were trying to hijack the stones on behalf of Gary Oldman, who I still am not fully clear on his MO, except it was probably just for money.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Like, I kind of had to be like, let it go, Polina. Just enjoy the Gautier. Just fine. You're fine.
Which, I mean, he's been fantastic on. But like one of the things that I like for her, like when she breaks the glass and then the scientist is standing there going, perfect.
Yeah.
And then she runs off with the bandages, the thermal bands. And then, you know, like her entire goal throughout the entire movie is to learn about human history and then save the world. But like you see this very, very naive but incredibly strong female character that learns about humanity.
Yeah.
And then like the perfect way to describe her was by the opera singer who's saying she's so strong but she's so fragile.
Yeah.
And she needs your love. And then Bruce Willis' character did his thing.
Yeah.
And then
falls in love with her immediately.
And then, you know, at the end,
hang on, save that for later in the show.
We gotta save that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, she gets to learn the darker side of humanity, and then she has to have this doubt about, is humanity worth saving?
Yeah.
And that's when he really has to convince her that there's so much goodness in humanity, like love.
Yeah.
And then that's where you got the ultimate, like, the love moment of the movie.
Sure.
And then they save the world. So it's like you get to see the progression of the female character, like going from being naive to like almost having more compassion and then more and grow as a being.
Yeah, like there's actual like character development, which in a, you know, I think I've probably gone over this. I'm not a huge superhero or action movie fan. Like, and the thing that makes that, like, to me is the thing that always kind of shatters my whole suspension of disbelief is usually that I feel like the world there's very little attention paid to like the emotional truth of the world. And this is not a movie. This is a movie where and this is, I think, a really like Bruce Willis and and Milla Jovovich, you really believe her development. Her development makes sense, and it's actual character development. He goes through some character development. Like you genuinely get people who are changed by the circumstances in which they find themselves and the emotions that they didn't expect to have, which I think is like really rare for a sci-fi film to be. Okay, when I say it's rare, I am not a like sci-fi. I've not seen every sci-fi film, but I find it rare in the ones I've seen.
It's typically not associated with a sci-fi film, we'll say, which is of course
that's well
not
put.
the focus. And what works out really well, again, it's just this movie touches so many different pieces. You're laughing, you're marveling, you are laughing again, and then you're just. And I'm gonna go back to marveling because again, I'm just focusing on so much of it, and I can't because there's so much to look at. And I would like to know more about what you think about Corbin and Lilu.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just smitten. Of course, the way that he describes it is like, oh, a fare fell into my lap. She's 5'9", and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like really? 5'9", blue eyes. Perfect. Which is a theme throughout the entire movie about her being perfect.
Even before they met, he said he's looking for the perfect woman. He doesn't want a million. He just wants one.
Yeah, just one, that perfect one.
Yeah.
And and then but he knows nothing about her other than she's 5'9", with blue eyes, perfect skin.
Yeah. And can kick some ass.
And then and then he got to rescue her. It's like, that's fantastic. And then they meet again, where she sort of understands what's going on. They go back to get the ticket to go to Lost in
Yes, there
Paris.
is. Yeah. So with the introduction of Chris Tucker's character Ruby Rhod, we have a contest that's going on, and so he is a radio personality.
Yeah.
And what's happening is that there is this cruise, kind of contest, and so fortunately we find out that the Stones are going to be with somebody who happens to also be at that venue, which is the opera performer that we're talking about. And so what's really great about that is you get to see the president, which I would like to make a shout out to this president, who is like the precursor of President Camacho from Idiocracy. He's like this strong and just like
and totally
awesome, no nonsense, and he's gonna get it through this with us, but he just needs a little bit of help from our heroes.
Yes.
So
I mean, it's just the whole thing is just so great, and so she's like, yes, we need to go here, and we need to pick up the Stones from the trusted ally.
Yes.
And then they go to Corbin's apartment, and before that, the military people shows up and go, we're gonna send you on a mission.
Yes.
And here's your companion. And then he's like, no. Supposed to play like his love interest, and it's another military character woman. And it's like, the contrast is just...
And she's got
hilarious,
and she's got Princess Leia buns.
Leia buns, which I thought was really odd.
No, but that's
but so
I thought that was a
hilarious.
great like little go. I'm gonna go with that was like Gautier and Bresson having a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then him being like, oh my gosh, she's here. He's like so happy that she's just at his doorstep.
Yep.
And then the priest pulls out a gun going, we need those tickets.
Yep.
And then, the whole auto wash scene is just
oh my
so
God.
adorable. And, he's trying to I will take care of you. I will and then they run off after the priest hits him on the head, and then Corbin on the head, and then they
with an
ticket.
award that he won, and he's like, oh god damn, I knew this was like a double-edged sword.
And then they show up, and then when they're lying down in the plane where they're about to apparently it's interstellar travel, we're gonna put everybody to sleep.
I want that.
Yes.
Oh my god,
that was ingenious when I first saw it, and then I still think it's an ingenious
it's so
idea.
ingenious.
Yeah.
Also, as an insomniac,
awesome.
this is my ultimate fantasy. If there was a button that I could push that just put me to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I've literally done nothing but think about this for like the 2 days since I saw that, or like 24 hours since I've seen that scene.
Yep.
And
Like last night when I woke up in the middle of the night and couldn't get back to sleep, I was like, I want
need
that
that
button. I want that button. No, I want it now.
so, like, but at this point in the movie, like, things has really kind of flipped because now she can speak English, sort of, and then she's like, "I'm Spring Bean. I'm here to rescue everybody," and he's like, "No, I'm here to rescue the world. Thank you very much." And then he passes out. But this was like before the Ruby Rod character being introduced, which is like, oh my God, it is so incredibly over the top. It is just so amazing. But it like is
so perfectly balanced because right when you get sick of him, he signs off. Like right when you're like, I can't do this anymore. I had to rewatch that. I rewatched that whole scene with the first time Ruby Rod. So Ruby Rod has this new show, or he has this show, and actually there's a minute by minute podcast of Fifth Element.
Oh wow!
Oh my God!
And while I was cleaning the house today to have you guys come over, I was listening to it, and I picked a minute that had Ruby Rod in it. And one of the things he said is like, he's a great podcaster because he's just he's telling what's happening while it's happening. Anyway, but he speaks in like the fastest voice ever,
high pitched,
and a super high pitch, which I didn't even know it was Chris Tucker until the end, and I had to rewatch it with the captions on, and I was like, this is even better now because the lines are so perfect, and then when they go to Bruce Willis, he just goes, sure, like he says one word,
and you could literally hear the crickets.
Yeah.
And they go, sure. And his voice is so low.
Yeah.
Like registered.
Yes.
Compared to Ruby Rod.
And actually lower than it usually is, which is when I rewatched it, I realized it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize because the rest of the time his voice is in a normal, adult male register.
Right.
But when he speaks, he was like dropping almost into like vocal fry.
Yeah.
And it was when I rewatched, I was like, oh, this is one of those movies that you can rewatch because it has these little satisfying details like that, where that's actually not how Bruce Willis talks. But you also get that he would be talking that way when it's not even a microphone. It's like a weird snake thing.
That's kind of like a cane, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
used for
exactly.
That. That's more like a baton.
It's like a baton.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Like
yes.
his continual performing of that. It's like he wants to flip it around, but he knows it has a auditory component to it, so
Yes.
you better not twirl that.
No,
Exactly.
you're right. Oh my
And
God.
he is, in a way, leading the charge with it. So, it's like, onward, people, do what I want. Come
Exactly.
on, Corbin.
Yeah.
Corbin!
And you see it because even that first one, he's so brilliantly set up because there are these airline hostess characters who, okay, I have to say this movie does not pass the Bechdel test at all, so it is problematic.
Oh, no, time out. Lilu does say to one of the people checking them in, multi-pass.
Oh my gosh.
That's true. She talks to a woman about something other. That's true.
than men.
She actually doesn't really talk about men ever.
Yes.
So maybe it's just. I guess maybe it does.
I do remember a woman and also when she was getting in, one of the people helping her check in said, "Miss." So technically,
That's true. It actually does. And she doesn't really talk about men. She doesn't worry about men.
No.
She's just trying to save the world.
no, we actually managed to get two women in the same scene.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But I will concede to your point that just because they pass the test doesn't mean et cetera, et cetera.
But I think that, but the really genius thing is during that whole, like you really understand, and this may be like more of my generation thing, but Prince was supposed to play that character.
Sure.
And he rejected it. One of the reasons is he thought that the costumes were too effeminate, which is kind of hysterical. However, because I think he was moving out of that phase.
Oh.
Yeah, like having, please listen to our Purple Rain episode. Anyway, but he basically, in the course of this 2-hour broadcast that he does, it starts at 5.
Starts at 5, ends at 7.
It's a drive time podcast. It's a drive time radio show, and he in the middle of it basically seduces and pleasures this stewardess. I mean, it's not stewardess. I'm sorry, airline hostess. And it's like in the course of the show, and it's so well done. Like it's so perfectly done where you totally get, it's like he
Hold on.
romances her.
Hold on. It's not while they're broadcasting, is it?
It kind of is.
There's some parts where he's romancing basically every female that he walks by.
No, I got that. I just thought he'd already signed off by that point.
And then he does some more after he signs on.
Yeah, I mean, but he starts the whole process when he signs on.
Like, don't tell me he was doing that to her while he was on the air.
Oh no.
No, and that's and it's a very like he's doing it like it's a very like it's sort of more about her than it is about him.
He has a
like
huge following. Him checking in, him romancing. Now I remember what you're talking about. He has all. Oh my God! It's like to the women that he is perfect.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
except it's with his words.
It's so rare, this is PG, this is the non-PG-13 part. It's so rare that you have scenes where there is a man who is like that supposed to be that kind of virile and that potent, kind of catnip for women, that like where the act is performing oral sex on a woman. That I want to have a shout out because I think like that doesn't happen enough in movies.
No. And Lord knows it doesn't happen enough in sci-fi.
Yes.
It's Lord knows. Though, as I said, not an expert. I will take your word on it.
I think I've seen 3 true sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Blade Runner.
That's why we need you.
Blade Runner.
Oh my.
And
that's why we need you, Jen.
We'll fix it. But I think
hey, we did Gattaca.
That is true. I did enjoy that. I did enjoy your podcast on that. Thank you very much.
That's one of my favorite episodes too.
I really enjoyed that episode. But,
and also Gattaca. I really enjoyed Gattaca.
I do believe the sex was just crashing waves in that movie, literally.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And then he exfoliated.
So much exfoliate. He was so smooth. Ethan Hawke.
Anyways, so like
I never liked Chris Tucker, but I'm like now I suddenly have a crush on Chris Tucker. I had no idea
because he just so fantastic. But anyways, going back to the love story between Lilu and Corbin. It's like, I mean, Corbin is like in from the very, very beginning, and then like, but the table does flip when she understands English and says, "I'm screaming, I'm gonna help you," but then Corbin's like, "No, I'm gonna help you." So on and so forth. And then like
But that's a huge partnership. That's like a partnership when you're like, we're gonna help each other.
Which they don't quite realize that they're helping each other, which I think is also hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Like throughout the entire movie, his commitment to her increases, and he's like, when is she not in trouble? I'm gonna go rescue her. I'm gonna blah blah blah. And then for her though, it's all about like becoming the spring being, becoming and doing the thing that she was made to do. And until from my point of view and my opinion is that she doesn't really realize what love is until the very, very end, where she had to ask him, tell me that you love me. I mean, that's what she's going for, because up until then, it's not like real for her. Like when he tells her, after they've been through all this ordeal and he's trying to protect her as much as he can, at the end she's like, okay, now I understand what love is, and I realize that you love me. And then she becomes the fifth element that she needed to be to save the world. And then they get it on in the at the very end.
Well, what I love about that scene is like usually, that it's such a that's such a cliche scene of the usually it's a romantic comedy sort of trope where you have the person, or romance trope, comedy or otherwise, where you have the person who's like, tell me how you feel. And in most of those, that person is the vulnerable one, the one who's asking, tell me that you love me. I need this to continue. But this is one of those rare movies, and I only saw this part. I had to watch this just because of the logistics of my life. I had to watch this movie in parts. And I only saw that part this morning. And I was really, really struck by how she doesn't feel she feels vulnerable in a way that's very strong.
Mm-hmm.
She in a way that feels very it's very genuine, and it's also, it doesn't diminish her power.
Mm-hmm.
And if just like that moment feels very real, which is, it's not about words. It's really about, I need to understand how big this is.
Also, I love that you said that the way that you did, because you're talking about, it's not just about the words. In my perspective of that, in that particular instance, she's physically dying because she was just she was just shot at, and she had all of this, kind of, bullets and shoot, what's that called? Not rebar. When the bullets ricochet.
Shrapnel.
Shrapnel, thank you. All this thing's coming at her. So she's physically bleeding. She's physically dying. But the thing is that there's this thing like, no, she is this perfect being. She has perfect understanding of humanity. No, actually, no.
No, only until the letter V, which is my favorite joke in the entire movie.
She has perfect knowledge of humanity. And I think what was really important is the fact that it was her. And isn't that just like how a human being is? You can have knowledge, you can have information, but at the same time, if you lack this connection to humanity, why wouldn't she die? So it's like she's physically dying.
It's like wisdom, right? And she didn't get to the letter W either, right?
She got to
which
war.
is wisdom.
War.
She got to she
W-A-R.
Okay, that really confused me. That's what I mean. There's a few things where I'm like, she got to war, but like she didn't get to valor. Like bullshit.
I was about to say.
I was like, Wikipedia search is not that bad. Like, maybe in 97 it wasn't great. Okay.
So there's also violence that she didn't get to. Yay.
Which I thought was ironic.
Yeah, but it's
literally her entire experience of her life is in this world is violence.
Well, yeah, but then again, she's speaking to the priest and all these other little pieces that are coming together. So I really do like the fact that she is about, like, when she first comes to be, she's just escaping. She's not about fighting. But in the end, she also knows it's a means to an end when she has to get to what she's doing. But listening to them come together, I do have this great appreciation of the fact that it's just, you have, Bruce Willis needs to love her for her to be able to do what it is that she needs to do, literally and metaphorically, because once they have a declaration, she's able to be the fifth element, but she's able to come on. And what's great is that in a rom-com, when you're looking for that big declaration, it's us, the audience, going, do it. Do it.
Exactly.
But
it's the priest.
It's the priest.
Which is awesome.
And then,
so how is that different than when you were watching it when you were 15? Like, because you were saying, like, to you, like, did you notice the romantic elements when you were like 15?
No, not really.
It was the
which
romance,
kind of made sense, right?
Was the romance the fifth element?
I actually, for a moment, I was like, oh, the fifth element is love. I thought it was life. Oh, okay, it's probably both. Okay, whatever.
No, it's Milla Jovovich.
Yeah, which truly is.
Who literally, as I said, not seen this movie in 20 years. All I remember was Milla Jovovich. It's burned on my retina.
Because,
I was like, none of this other. I was like, did I just see a cut where I walked into a movie theater, saw a cut that only had Milla Jovovich scenes, and then walked out? Is that what happened?
Oh my God, if YouTube is doing that now, where you go to the movies, you just watch the supercuts and then you leave.
This is what I want. I want a supercut of Titanic that only features the ship going down, which is the only reason to see that movie.
Might I recommend the supercut of the riff tracks of Titanic?
Oh my God, yes. Okay, we're doing that.
That as well. Okay, so important question, because we've touched on it just a little bit, but let's really pull up our sleeves and figure this out. Let's put on our thermal bands and let's do some cartwheels and look amazing.
Yeah. Let's break through that glass that's unbreakable and really get down to business.
Unbreakable, Bruce Willis movie, very nice.
Yes.
Did you like how I did that? That's usually your job, but I thought I'd help you out.
So when do you think they fell in love?
I mean, I really do think that for him, it was from, like, love at first sight.
Interesting. So the second he turned around in the cab and saw her?
Because at that point, he describes it so perfectly on the phone, saying, perfect fair dropped on my lap. And then...
Just so funny, because she destroyed so much.
I know. And then for her, it was at the very, very end of the movie.
Yeah.
When he said, like, love is worth everything, and that he loved her, because up until that point she kind of knows, but no, she doesn't.
Yeah, she had the definition, but not
the actual emotion. And then that's because you can tell, literally the movie spells out, oh, I get love now, and I do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's true. This is kind of a weird question for this movie.
It's kind of on the nose, going, okay, she gets love now, and then she saves the entire world.
Yeah. Oh, I understand love.
Well, to be fair,
But you can't understand love until you've experienced it, right? Until you've really experienced it.
and even then, I still questioned it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is actually it though. Like, is it?
Yeah, totally. Is this
or am
love?
I fooling myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, there's so many but there's so many touching moments for Corbin Dallas, though. You know, like, he's like,
Because he's kind of a hard-boiled, he's the hard-boiled
Military.
ex-military,
Yeah.
like, you know,
He's the best of
super
the best.
cynical.
Yes.
Yeah, like,
Well,
but
only
thinks
one
it's
alive.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then, you know, he's like,
I didn't think he would be as I knew he would be harsh, but he wasn't as harsh as I anticipated him to be. Like, you know, with all of the, again, that's what makes this movie even better.
Yeah.
I think this is actually like I'm not like a bit, you know, as I think probably this is where I'm, you know, yet another weirdo is I was never like, I mean, my Bruce Willis was Moonlighting. Like, it's so embarrassing, but it was.
Oh, you didn't say Moonstruck.
No. Oh my God, I didn't. Woo! I get, like, in this movie, I'm like, oh, I get the thing. I get the thing, because he is at once, his is not this, like, it's there. Like, his humanity is there in the cynicism.
Right.
It's not the cynicism doesn't feel like a sort of a armor he wears. It feels like a natural response of his humanity, which is that I am really human, but I have to exist in this world which is constantly kind of fighting against my humanity. And I am, because of like the particular skills that I have, I am a pawn.
maybe, but I think this is like a very good definition of a really fun action hero.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we're talking
Absolutely.
about the deep stuff, but it's not, you don't need to watch this. It's
Corbin
super
Dallas is like,
pleasurable. And I don't like this kind of stuff, but I found it super pleasurable.
like, this is like, even though you know that he's very close to like one-dimensional character.
Yes.
No, I actually think he does a pretty good job of being not, I mean, he's not like a, you know, we're not, this isn't,
Like,
I'm kind of overblowing his depth here, but he's not a one, he at least feels like a 2.5 dimensional character.
because like, you know, he's very funny. He's very funny. He delivers a lot of the key like jokes,
Zingers.
with like a straight face.
Yeah, no, his timing is excellent. Yeah.
Every interaction he has with Ruby Rod is like they try to emphasize the contrast between the two characters. Really high pitched sound, voice,
But you're right, with the very,
low
very low
vocal,
masculine
responses,
kind of.
Yes.
one word responses, and then his conversation with his mom.
Oh my God, the whole
so
thing with his
incredibly
mom.
funny. And then, you know, like his interaction with and then, you know, he literally chokes the crap out of Ruby and go, super green?
Yeah.
Green?
Oh my God. Okay, that's actually I love so the equivalent of like cool or rad in this world is the term green, and they do the best job of introducing this set of jargon. Like I didn't realize until I rewatched it, but they do the best job of introducing this jargon because they do it basically with Ruby Rod.
Yeah.
And they like,
He has his like followers, right?
yeah, his followers.
Not his fans, but his like his entourage.
His entourage.
Yes.
Yes, very well put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's clear what that word means when Bruce Willis starts to use it because he's making fun of the word because it's almost like, you know, it's almost like that, you know, when I don't know, it's it's one of those words that like it's like, well, the cool people say it, and then when I say it, it's like awesome sauce. It's basically like the term awesome sauce in like 1995.
Would it be like on fleek?
Like on fleek. You know what's weird about on fleek?
All of
The
it?
only thing I know that is on fleek is eyebrows.
I thought it was eyelashes.
Eyebrows.
It's eyebrows.
It's eyebrows.
I need
Which
help.
mine not on fleek. Like I need to get them done really badly. You don't know, but that's why I have a podcast, not a vlog. Okay, so I think that when they fell in love, I think when he fell in love, because I agree with you, like it's pretty obvious, the Milla Jovovich thing. Is
it? Go on.
Okay, well, I want to hear yours. Okay, you're right. It's actually, there's a little more to it, but I actually think it was. So basically, she crashes into his cab, and by the way, excellent urban planning. That when you build up, instead of being stuck with roadways that don't build up, you also build up your roadways. Excellent.
Make note, San Francisco.
Yeah, totally. Please. She falls into his cab, and I think this is also like kind of helped this sort of line of kind of feeling like this is a ridiculous movie, but is very emotionally true. Is that he doesn't instantly go, okay. He basically is like, okay, this is happening. Crazy stuff has happened to me in my life, and this is just one of them. However, he instantly is going to turn her into the police. And then he has this moment where he basically just very split second decides. And I don't actually think it's a split second decision moment, because I think when they first meet, he recognizes her as two beings. Two beings. He thinks she's human, and he feels terrible. Like, he's like, I can't really look at you. I can't really do this, but it's the moment right after. It's the moment right after he makes the decision, because basically what he does is she drops in his cab, a lot of drama happens, she begs for help, and
The
she
police
does
are coming for her.
Yeah.
And they have them cornered, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry. And he opens the door because he's like, you've got to understand, I need to survive. And he opens the door, and he, like, right when you think it's going to happen, he basically just flies away and causes like a ton of damage. And the one thing that he does, and I think it's right after that he realizes, oh my God, this is not just a fellow being. I am tied to this person. I think that's when he falls in love with her. I think when he realizes he's in love with her is he takes her to the priest, because that's what needs to happen. And then the priest goes, okay, you lug, you've done your job.
Go away now.
You go away now. And it's that moment right after he closes the door. You see his face, and he's like, I can't walk. I cannot move. I cannot walk away from this door, because if I walk away from this door, I mean, he does eventually walk away from the door, but like, he just has this moment of like, it's not even that you're like, okay, thank God. Like, this was a major drama that now I don't have to deal with anymore, and I can go back to my life. He's like, I'm in. Like, I'm in. And this is not a person I can just like let go of, you know? And I think, so that is it to me. I think that with, like, the one thing that's really interesting about her as a person, which I think, talks about this, like this balance. And I feel like, okay, I think the script is like, okay, I think it actually does a pretty good job, but it's not like, I don't think if you didn't have these two actors that kind of could do this, could convey this, which I was really impressed with the Bruce Willis could, is that, they sort of say the thing about being vulnerable and being strong and saving and whatever. But I think that the thing about her is that she's so genuinely there. Like, even in her sort of perfectness, she's a bit of an animal. She's she's a bit of a,
Feral.
She's feral. Feral is actually the perfect word. You're right. She's feral. She's clearly really smart, and everyone recognizes how smart she is. And you can see it in her eyes. The way she, like when you see a baby, like your niece. Like there's that video that we always play over and over again of Jen's niece. This is like my favorite thing. It's a video of Jen's niece that I love, and I play it all the time. I have a copy of it. I know this is embarrassing. But it's like you see this intelligence in her when she looks at people. And what you see is this of like when they look at each other, they see each other's beings. I don't think like they connect as humans. I have a really good friend who I met her, and I remember I met her at an accordion festival. And the minute I met her, we were like, no, it's great. Katati Accordion Festival. It's in Northern California. It's such a great weekend of just delight. Even if you don't like accordions or you don't think you like accordions, you should go to the Katati Accordion Festival in Northern California. Happens in August. And I remember meeting her, and she said, hey, she's like, I'm like, we spent the whole day together. I just met her, and I realized, she's like, yeah, well, she's older than me, and she said, yeah, I just knew you were one of my tribe. And I felt like that moment when they met each other, it was like, oh, we're in the same tribe.
What about you?
What about me?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, okay. So it's very interesting with Bruce Willis because love at first sight seems to be the choice words what we're working with. And it absolutely makes sense because he's captivated by her. Absolutely. Yes. I think we all were.
Oh, so, yeah. I mean,
the casting was...
as I said, 20 years later, literally the only thing I remember about that movie.
So for me, what I thought was you have that moment where you were describing where the door is shut on Bruce Willis. Although he is captivated by her, and although he is talking about how perfect she is, I think the actual moment for him wasn't when the door closed, and I was really scared that you were going to say what I was thinking of, but when he's in the car and he is chastising himself because...
Oh, for kissing her?
For kissing her. Oh. Because it's not about just like, oh, she's beautiful and I kissed her, but, he said to wake her gently, and that it was at that moment.
Oh my God, I just suddenly had an emotion, a moment.
What's that?
Sleeping Beauty, the prince, the kiss of the prince that wakes you up.
And...
Do you think that's...
But what's even more important about that is that immediately she reacts the way we think that Sleeping Beauty should.
Yeah, which is that she gets a gun and puts it to his fucking head because she doesn't know the hell.
Never without my permission. So that moment is incredible, and at that point, it's just, oh right, she is not just this being of my admiration. She is real. She is, somebody with depth. Somebody with, somebody who's incredibly vulnerable, but at the same time, oh, she's not just someone I need to protect.
And also with some like really, really impressive technical skills, like she's got some mad skills.
Also the fact that I believe that was his gun.
Not
only did she wake up.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Of course. Why would she have a gun? It would be his. So she gets it out in like a split second.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think at that point when he's chastising himself, that was his moment. Yeah. Now for her, I'm in agreement with you almost. Actually, hold on one second. So she comes to understand when he kisses her, he loves her, but she still has much to learn. So I believe because she is an incredible being with the ability to learn and to process as she does, it happened off screen in a point after they saved the world, but before they were having sex in that chamber.
Oh,
I mean, they did get it
man,
on in
that was
chamber.
good.
Yes, and then
no, you're right. Okay,
Yeah.
Dan.
So that's what
like
I think it is.
now.
Because again, she's that because they saved the world as quickly as they did, they had to be returned. They're still recuperating from the whole ordeal that they had. And the president comes in to congratulate them, and the tech is just like, "Oh, we're gonna need 5 minutes." So it had to happen.
Oh, I know. It's like they're
like what?
And then the hand gesture. I'm
and
like,
actually, I thought the way I was kind of expecting because they make this joke about them having sex. I thought that the next thing would be like a little bow chicka bow bow, but it wasn't actually like super tender and sweet.
No, let's be very clear. It's his mom calling.
Oh, that was the best
and the
part.
president answering.
And they keep passing it to like one
Yes.
assistant to another who's like clearly like, I'm sorry if you're like the president, so you're probably used to dealing with like, but it was like the mom was the worst.
Oh, but I just had this amazing realization. How the hell did she get that number? She must have as incredible skills
Dude.
as Bruce Willis does.
None of us are moms. Let's face it. Moms.
They know what they're doing.
Yes.
Moms, they know what they're doing.
Except for when they don't, but that's when they're choosing not to because they really don't want to do whatever it is that you want them to.
So for years, my mother has a master's degree in electrical engineering. And for years, I remember one time my dad was in Japan and we were, there was a snowstorm and I came home from college and my mom, this is a fast story, I swear. My mom fixed some, like our power went out and my mom fixed this like receiver that we had. And I was like, wait, Mom, like I had no idea you knew how to do this. Like, cause I just assumed my dad was always the one who like fixed stuff. And my mother was like, I have a master's degree in electrical engineering. You can't think I can't fix a radio? And she's like, no, she's like, I can't believe that you never learned this. She's like, your dad likes to do that. It's just, she's like, why? I don't want to fix a radio. I want to do other things. Mm-hmm. She's like, I just pretended I didn't know how to do it so that he would do it. And then he would leave me alone because he was too busy fixing the radio.
Brilliant.
Now, my mother didn't say it in this way, but that was essentially her message.
Learn.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But, yes.
Well, see, now we are liberated women, so we don't have to pretend we don't know these things.
No, I just say I don't want to do it.
No, we just pause.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We just pause.
Pause.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I think it depends.
It
Okay.
depends.
Okay.
It depends on the thing.
We'll talk about this at lunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I need some tips, guys.
Yeah. If you have any tips on how to make your significant other / spouse do things that you don't want to,
I'm actually really good at that.
never mind.
But I actually learned most of them from my spouse, who took me like 10 years to realized how much he was manipulating me.
Ooh.
And he hasn't caught on that now you can do it?
Oh, I think there's only a few cases where he hasn't caught, but there's a few.
So this is mutually...
Sean, please don't, I don't think he ever listens to the end of the podcast.
Why not?
I don't know.
I think, so the point is...
I'm giving you a look.
No, but
I'm giving you a look.
Jen,
Yes.
I haven't been able to like get my own tea for the past 2.5 weeks. So he's he's got a lot of good points. He's been like helping me do everything. So don't Sean's good. Sean's above and beyond. Above and beyond.
I'm judging you.
No, above and beyond, dude. I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but I will tell you later the things he's been doing for me for the next 2 weeks, and it will wipe that look off your face. You'll be like, okay, Polita, this is one of the rare times that you were right, and I'm wrong. So
We'll tell you what, though. Why don't we figure out what is in the future for Corbin and Lilu?
God, this is so hard.
That is super hard.
It's super hard because she's not like a human. She's not a human.
Shall I start first then?
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. That would be awesome.
Well, then how about this then? So let's be honest, they have saved the world. So whatever unfortunate circumstances of Bruce Willis beforehand with his crappy cab driving job, it isn't as though he's going to take this and he's going to jump back into his military-esque future. Instead, what's going to happen is they're going to... Actually, I'm not even positive. I'm going to say that while the president is going to want to commend them for their part in saving the world, Lilu and Corbin are not about that. They're going to accept the acknowledgement from the president, but it's not going to be like a parade where there are these people who are going to be in the back of the car while all of this confetti is going to be falling and they're going to be waving as if they're the Queen of England. Instead, it's going to be like, yeah, okay. Kind of like similarly how he wanted to go into the cruise thing. It's just like, no. Secret mission. And then all of a sudden Ruby Rod is going to be like, ah! And starting to get all the attention on them. So that is what he wants even in the middle of it. So why would they even try to accept the accolades when they have succeeded? It wasn't their intention to save the world for the sake of the prestige. It was to save humanity, but ultimately kind of save themselves as well. So what's going to happen is they're going to kind of go back to that quiet existence.
Mm-hmm.
But she has a lot to offer humanity. And what's really weird is that I'm trying to figure this out. Is this attack going to happen again in another 500 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Crap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. There's going to be like this future going where it's going to be, she is going to be like Liv Tyler in Lord of the Rings,
Oh my
except
gosh.
she doesn't get to give up her immortality. Oh my God. Bruce Willis is freaking Viggo Mortensen now, where they're going to have like a really cute kid.
Oh.
And I don't know, like this kid's going to be like half perfect DNA and half snark, because that's what Bruce Willis offers.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be a little girl.
Hmm.
I think so. I really do. So what happens with this?
You're just trying to make me cry because of my father-daughter.
Oh.
Polina, why would I do that to you?
Yes, you always.
Actually, what I went to when she just said that was, have you guys seen Da Vinci Code, the movie?
No, but I've read the book.
Oh, you read the book?
I've neither read the book
Oh my gosh.
nor seen
Okay,
the
so I guess it's just between you and I.
Okay.
Um,
Go on.
they go through the female line only.
Mm.
Like it's like Christ had a child,
Mhm.
his daughter.
Mhm.
It's the daughter. It's a female line that they trace all the way.
Oh.
Spoiler alert.
It's okay.
Da
I'm
Vinci
never going to
Code.
read or see the Da
I
Vinci
know.
Code. I'm fine.
But it's like she, the main female character, is the descendant of Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
Anyways, but
Back to your religious roots.
Yes.
The implication is Jesus got it on.
yeah, but yeah, it was the female line that, and then the fact that you said the daughter, that's where immediately I went to. It's the female line that they would trace.
Holy crap. Yeah, when you said Da Vinci
Yeah.
Code, I'm just like,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. Oh my God. She's going to be amazing. So,
Yeah.
Oh, that's the secret of the Da Vinci Code? Is it just the female line?
well, that's
No,
the secret that they're trying to.
They're trying
That's
to
okay. Don't worry about it.
like the chalice. It's the
Oh, it's a
yeah.
container.
Anyways,
Got it.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
I went to health class. I know what a uterus is.
So, so in the end, I am seeing. I don't think you know what. Thank you. You have given me a happy moment. So if anything, she's not going to be immortal, but instead she's going to pass her perfect genetics onto her children, who in turn can be the ones to be the fifth element. And
500 years.
Yeah, and
hence.
together they're going to teach that child humanity and why it's worth saving as they go along.
I love that.
I do too.
love
That actually kind of
that.
inspired. That's kind of
Yeah.
Okay, what's you?
I did it.
No, I'm.
Do you want me to go last? Do you want to go
No.
last?
I
know. I'm kind of like
think
I
I'm
like
totally
yours.
With you. I'm
Yeah.
totally with you in this.
No, I know.
I'm on Diana's camp.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in your camp. I think they're gonna go. I think they're not gonna accept. They're not gonna be they're gonna resist being a part of the, as you said. Like I think
The public eye.
yeah, like they're not gonna go on whatever the equivalent of CNN is, which is probably CNN. Will never die. They will never ever. They won't accept that. They'll want to kind of live an existence of discovery and she's gonna I also feel like she's gonna want to she's a tinker. I kind of see like her when she stops being a warrior becomes kind of a tinker, and she tries to improve upon inventions, but they're and talk about ideas. And I think she's going to try to resist kind of being a guru, but I think in, the public eye, she's going to, kind of become like an Oprah with like real credentials in a weird way. And I didn't think about the kid thing. That's a lot of pressure to be like the kid, the offspring of a
perfect being.
being.
And also Milla Jovovich.
And also Milla, yeah. I mean, I have to say, I realized today, like during this whole thing where we were I realized that when I was looking at Milla, she's around my age. And let me tell you that nobody realizing how amazing, because I always think of her as younger because like that's how you function in the world. Like I am a normal looking woman for my age, but it turns out that you have the option of looking like Milla Jovovich, and And so that's a little
Yeah.
depressing.
Hang on. I'm going to pull you out of that for just 1 minute.
Thank you.
Her career is based on the fact that she is a model / actress and in a public eye.
That is true.
So-
My entire career is sitting
Yeah. You're
and
talking-
typing or thinking
you're
or talking or talking.
Skills.
What?
Talking skill. Not that you're a manager.
Yeah,
it's
it's
all
true.
about your talking skills.
It's my talking skills,
Yes.
my talking stick,
Yes.
my ability to wield a talking stick.
And as you're talking, I imagine she's doing Pilates right now, so I think you're
She
okay.
probably is, and I'm sitting in a chair talking about how amazing she is in 1997 and how incredible she looks now. Yeah, I think like I kind of have to go with you. I'm sorry. I know I don't usually do this. I'm just going to build on your thing. I think.
Build.
And I do think they're going to find a place, and there are going to be people who are going to, be inspired. But I don't think she wants to start a movement because she wants to be, her.
I think they want to like have that quiet life because
Yes.
it has so much excitement that they want to not retire per se, but have that quiet life, that simple life, and then enjoy the.
That's why I think the
things.
tinkering comes in because I
Yeah.
think that they can't totally eliminate. Like they're not
No.
just gonna. They're gonna like. I think they're gonna find like advances in food production and agriculture and farming and also like.
they also-
Applying artificial intelligence, which I find interesting because this is one of the few sci-fi movies, even in 1997, doesn't feature any artificial intelligence.
There are a lot of robots.
There are a lot of robots,
The
but they're not.
bartender, like when
bartender.
the priest goes, do you understand? And the bartender goes, no. And then it's just
That's
like,
true.
Yes,
That's
it's
true.
just so fun. There
First
aren't
job to
very
be
many-
eliminated, guys.
Yeah, there aren't very many robots, but there are a lot of different like technology within this. I mean, it's like no. There's a bomb.
But there's a lot of
detectors.
like cellular.
Yes.
There's a lot of like cellular. The fact that you
They
do
can
these things that
recreate
can
her.
recreate her.
Yes.
There's also that scene where Zorg pushes the glass off, and there's all these little beings coming
Yes.
to play or the little robot things to clean up the mess. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like Gary Oldman is just so.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him. He's really fun.
He's just so amazing in this movie. He's the bad guy. It's like, you gotta do it yourself. You can't delegate.
I feel
Yeah,
that
I love
so
that.
much.
He's like, if you need it done, do it yourself.
Do it
I was like,
yourself.
oh, that's why Jen likes this movie. As somebody who's managed by Jen,
Yeah,
I'm
like-
gonna say that like
Like, you gotta do
Sometimes,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just like, I am very disappointed.
also, oh my god, I know he was really good. And the other thing is I love his like
Yeah.
southern accent.
Yes.
Like and the terrible haircut. The bowl cut situation is really also can I just want just one more shout out.
please.
My favorite running gag of Fifth Element is the quitting smoking. Like there's an entire running gag, including the thing that actually saves the universe,
Yes.
is that he completely fails at quitting smoking. And I am not a smoker, but I like have, grown up and lived with many, many, many smokers, and I just thought that was an awesome little
That was-
detail.
I mean, like, you gotta say though, like the one. There's a couple of things that about this movie that I'm somewhat annoyed by. It's one at the very end. It's like wind blows.
Oh yeah,
Fire
yeah,
burns.
exactly.
And I'm like, can you guys be any more dense? Can you guys like stretch out this moment?
Oh,
any
I know, no,
longer?
I
It was
agree
so
too.
Incredibly painful.
It was so
Where every other part of the movie was incredibly fast paced.
Yes.
And like
completely.
Bruce Willis' definition of negotiation is pull out a gun
Yes.
and shoots the person in the head, going, anybody else want to negotiate?
I remember that from the trailer too. I was
Yes.
just like,
And then when
yeah.
they're sitting there and they're
Yeah.
thinking, and it's so painful,
Yeah.
like they're like, let's look at the stone and think.
Yes.
Oh, it's so painful.
Fire burn.
here's the deal though. When they got to Earth, I'm like, Earth dirt? What is
But where do they get the dirt? Like that was my only thing. Is like where?
Earth spin?
Yeah, like it's, I assumed that it was actual dirt, but then I was
Yeah.
like, where are they going to get the friggin' dirt? Like we have never seen them touch land,
Yeah.
ever. So where are they getting this dirt? Like,
Well, Egypt is still pretty sandy, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
Anyway,
was just like that's like the only part where the entire scene just drags on so incredibly.
Which I wonder is
painfully.
actually was on purpose, that it's because it is that painful. Like
Yeah.
they have, because they keep going back to the countdown, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and the countdown is not in that room. The
Yeah.
countdown is at the president.
Yep.
Which is another thing about management, is you can't do anything about like the actual people are somewhere like doing the work, and you can't do it.
Exactly. But that kind of brings me back to the editing of this movie,
It's
how the way that things are
beautiful,
being
yeah.
cut.
Yes.
It is just like, it is so amazing and so kind of on the nose. It's so funny.
I feel like the cast. I feel like I kind of keep thinking of the Castaways and how like I don't have the patience to look up the editor, but he's amazing.
Oh, do you mean the Cutaways?
The Cutaways, not the Castaways. See, I'm terrible at this. Is another podcast,
Yeah.
which is a great another
about to say
Lady
that-
Pod Squad podcast, is which is the Cutaways, but they're editors.
I was going to say, because the Castaways, that's a podcast group, actually. So,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Sorry, you guys.
No.
This is why I need Diana, and I don't have a podcast of my own. Okay, thank you so much.
Hold on one second. If you're going to do a shout out, I'm going to give a shout out to Bilbo Baggins in this movie. Ian Holm. I saw him and I'm just like, holy crap, let's do this, Ian Holm. And then he did it. Ryan and I are rewatching the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. So hence my future kind of coming on.
I was wondering why I suddenly, because I realized like last time I watched Lord of the Rings, I was on a flight to New Zealand, and I think I was like half asleep the whole time. So I'm like, wait, oh yes, of course.
You wake up and then it is New Zealand. Like, what the hell?
No, that's the craziest thing about South Island is you get there and you're like, there was no CGI, like none, because you're sitting there, you're like kayaking,
They had
you're
real
kayaking, and you're like, we're like, why does that look so familiar? And then you're like, oh, that's Mordor. That's actual Mordor. I am kayaking toward Mordor?
Sean, give me your ring. I got to throw something.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, that's your family ring. Okay. Somebody else on this kayaking
Sean,
trip.
buy
Give
me
me
a
a ring.
ring.
Yeah, buy me a ring. But you lost the last one in a kayaking accident. Okay, anyway, not the time.
Or did I?
Comes up like in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so
Jen,
much, Jen.
This is incredible.
Yes.
Thank
like,
you,
guys.
so great.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So no worries. We will have you back.
You know what? You're allowed to come back and do musicals anytime.
No, like I said, do
Free
not.
pass. You get a free pass.
Yes. Hey, wait, no.
As long as you don't do any sequels.
Next episode, Bride of Chucky. What? Okay. Damn it, Polina.
Sorry.
All right.
I got too excited again.
Yes, so we got very excited, and
Yeah.
we would love you to get excited with us.
Yes,
So
please.
if you'd like, if you want your excitement to be on Twitter, you can catch us at HEAMCast.
HEAMCAST.
And we're on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath. And we can be reached by email, contact@heamcast.com. If you like us, please tell a friend. When we do that, they come onto our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
And similar to the Cutaways, you can find some other amazing Lady Run podcast. If you check out the social media world, you can find them at #LadyPodSquad. And I'm all excitable right now, but that's all
Why?
we got.
Yeah, I know. I feel like there should be more.
No, she brings the energy. Thank
Yeah,
you so
exactly.
much.
Jen, thank you so much.
Yes.
I hope it's not the last.
Nope.
Never.
Good.
Never.
Yay!
Never. This podcast will end before we don't have you back.
Yes.
That made sense, right?
It did.
Yes, it did.
To me, it made emotional sense.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you. So
right.
we'll see you all soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
On our next episode, we're going to be talking about 1992's Like Water for Chocolate.